again today. I was out taking my daily walk, enjoying this beautiful weather. I just wanted to talk about faith real quick because, as we all know, faith it's not wishful thinking. It's not crossing your fingers and hoping the sky clears. And even as I'm walking and I was thinking, to myself, I remember being a child, you know, and as a little girl, me and my siblings and some childhood friends would often go outside on the front, when we outside playing on the front, playing outside in the area, we would often stand on the front porch. And on a day with rain and storm really bad, we would sing this song that some of you may know, crossing our fingers, hoping the rain would just go away somehow, because we wanted to play. And the song will go, rain, rain, go away, come again another day. So I'm sure some of you might know the song, but I remember us singing that song all the time, as children, because we had so much fun, y'all. But that's another story. We had so much fun as children, but we would sing that song all the time, just hoping that this rain somehow would stop, and just go away so that we can run up and down the street and play ball and, enjoy those childhood moments. I'm sorry, I'm outside taking my daily walk. So you might hear a little noise around me because I'm, like I said, I'm on my daily walk. But yeah, so back to what I was saying. I remember those moments where we would just come outside and sing that song, hoping that somehow the rain would just disappear. Now, don't get me wrong, there was moments where, the rain was just stopped. And we were like, yay, the rain stopped. But what about those moments in our life when we're faced with tests and trials and tribulations where we can't cross our fingers? We can't, my God, we can't hope and wish that trial and test go away because we got to have faith in God. And we already know that faith in God is greater than crossing your fingers and just hoping that it would stop or hoping that test or trial would just go away. So even when I'm thinking about this song that we sung repeatedly because the rain was interfering with what we wanted to do, when we think about tests and trials and things that we go through and encounter, somehow, if we look at it, these tests and trials are interfering with what we had planned. And it brings about discomfort. It brings about an unsettledness in our spirits and in our hearts. Because what we planned for our lives somehow is not looking the way that we thought it was going to look. But I wanted to remind somebody today that faith is stepping out when you cannot see the ground beneath you. Faith is stepping out when you cannot see the ground beneath you. And so I wanted to just share this real quick because sometimes we forget that faith is what we need. Not crossing the fingers, not just hoping and wishing, but faith. Because you know who's holding you up. It's not your friends, it's not your family, it's not your job, it's not any of those things, but it's God. Faith is not the absence of storms. It's the anchor that holds us in the middle of them. My God, God is so good. And so as I'm walking and I'm just enjoying this weather and I'm looking at the trees and listening to the birds chirp, some of my favorite things to do, it still takes faith. It still takes faith because when you walking and you're listening and you're hearing the voice of God, you may hear things that others may not hear, see things others cannot see because of your faith in God. Some people think that we're supposed to just hear and have these things. No. You got to have an assurance that even if the waves rise, God's hand is stronger. It's still stronger in your life than whatever you're going through. And like I said, I just wanted to get on here real quick and just come on here and just encourage someone, and while I'm taking my little stroll out today and enjoying this weather. It's really beautiful, so I hope y'all out enjoying it. I'm reminded of that scripture, Hebrews 11:1, I believe. And it says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for. And the evidence of things not seen. So even though, like right now, I don't see the birds, but I hear the birds and I know they're nearby. Faith is something kind of like that. Like you don't see, you can't see the manifestation of it just yet. But there's some things a lot of us are hoping God for. Faith is the currency of heaven. There's some things I'm believing God to do in my life. Some things that God showed me, and I trust God to do what he said he's going to do. So even though things may not look the way that I think it should look, I still trust God. Faith is what moved mountains. Faith is what parted the Red Sea. My God, my God, my God. I'm getting excited by myself. Faith, my goodness, is what made dry bones dance again. It's what makes dry bones dance again. Oh my God, think about the valley of dry bones, y'all. Like, if you tell somebody that story that does not really believe what happened, they're not going to believe that. Like, how are you going to make dry bones get up and live again? My matzi. Whoo, y'all, I felt that one. How you going to speak to, that's what lizard. How you going to speak to dry bones? How you going to speak to dry bones and tell them to live when they have no life? That takes faith. That takes faith. Having faith in God, not in the wavering opinions of man. 1 minute they're for you, next minute they're not. 1 minute they believe in God for you or with you, the next minute they not. No. You got to have faith in God that no matter who's with you, no matter who's not, you still going to trust God. That's what I like to call crazy faith. Like, God, I'm going to trust you. Like, I don't see it, but God, I believe it. I trust you, my God. God, I trust you. Hear me, y'all. God, I trust you. If I had, like always tell my siblings, if we ain't learned nothing, being raised as children, just by watching my mother, and even if she's still fighting now in the hospital, but that's a woman of faith and prayer. She wasn't perfect, but she was a woman of faith, and she set an example for us. And so when I watch her, even watching her prayer life throughout the years of my life, it taught me how to trust God just by watching her. So I just want to let you all know, you can't go by your feelings, because your feelings will fool you every time. Every time our feelings will fool us. Because your feelings will sometimes cause you to think or believe something that's not. When God told you you're healed, your feelings and what you see will try to make you think that you're not. And even sometimes the company that you keep. My God. Excuse the noise in the background. I'm outside taking a walk. You got to remain prayerful. You have to remain prayerful. In the unshakable, unchanging rock of all ages, y'all. We have to remain faithful to God. The one who was and is to come. My God. I'm just thankful. I'm just so grateful. Faith says, I don't see it yet, but it's already mine. It's already mine. It's already mine. No matter what it looks like, you already have it. You already healed. You already free. You already delivered. You already have that job. It's yours. Faith says, my bank account is empty, but my Father owns the cattle on a hill. He owns it all. He owns it all. All of it. So whatever you stand in need of, God has already provided it for you. It's been days where I had a need. And I lie now, y'all. I'm telling y'all. I ain't even go to God for it. I ain't even asking for it, to be honest, because I don't ask God for as much as I should, which He's given us the access and the ability to do so. But a lot of times when I go to God, my spirit and my heart is in a place of gratitude, because I understand that God don't have to do the things that He do, and I'm just grateful for what He's already done. So a lot of times, most of the time, it's, Lord, I thank you. God, I thank you. I praise you. God, I worship you. God, I magnify you. God, you're so faithful. God, you're so good. And so when I do have a need, sometimes I find it hard because I'm like, God, you already done so much. But one of the things I want to say is that God wants us to ask. He wants us to come to Him, just like we're His children. So it's okay to ask. But I know for some of us, we may find it hard to even ask. Faith is not pretending there's no fire. It's not pretending that there's nothing wrong or that you don't have problems or things going on in your life. Faith, that's not faith. We all have something that we've going through, or coming out of. All of us did. And one thing about me, I don't like to pretend. I may not go to people and talk to them all the time because you can't go to everybody. But for those that me, I'm going to go and I'm going to tell them. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to keep it 100. We got to be honest with God. We have to be honest with God. Even when I think about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who defied Nebuchadnezzar's order to worship a golden image. That took faith in God. Faith in God. My God, my God. And just because they believed in God and they trusted God, they were in the fiery furnace. And Nebuchadnezzar said, did we not put 3 in the fiery furnace? Did we not put 3 in there? Because I see 4. I'm paraphrasing. He said, I see 4. I see 4. And they walking around freely. They walking around free in the fiery furnace. God, I'm telling y'all. My God. I'm telling you. They were miraculously unharmed. They were miraculously unharmed because of their faith in God. And for some of you today, you're going to be miraculously delivered. You're going to be miraculously delivered. King Nebuchadnezzar jumped up. And he said, I threw 3 men in the fire. 3 men I put in the fire, but I see 4 walking around. But here's the thing. After God made Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego enemies their footstool, their enemies, Nebuchadnezzar and them, they begin to turn around and worship Nebuchadnezzar, our God, Jesus Christ. They then turned around saying, wow. They were amazed that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out unharmed. There's going to be a lot of people amazed at how you come out. They weren't expecting you to come out. My God. They weren't expecting you to make it. Some left you on the side of the road. They looked at you as if you were nothing. Because God didn't allow them to see who you really were. Because if they had known, my God. See, the thing about it, some people aren't intended to go where God is about to take you. They're not intended to go. So God didn't want them to see it. God didn't want them to see it. My God. And sometimes I really believe that a lot of times we mishandle the blessing. And what I mean by that, sometimes God will hold up certain blessings because sometimes when God bless us, we tend to give it away. We tend to, and so when we give it away, but God has given us, and it's not intended for us to give it to that individual or those persons, then I really believe that sometimes God, he deals with us accordingly, because some people we give to or bless, it's not, we're not meant to give to them. Sometimes they in a place where God had them. You know, it's been times, and I'm speaking from experience, because I remember a time God came to me, he spoke to me so clearly. Because every time God blessed me, I just wanted to bless everybody else. And he told me one time, he said, Tiffany, he said, when I bless you, I can't remember how it was worded. Look, sometimes when I bless you, it's not always intended for you to give to and give it to other people. I want you to enjoy that blessing. It was years ago, but I remember the Lord telling me that, and I was like, wow. But it was like an awakening for me, because, you know, I just wanted to be able to help other people or just give somebody something. And it's okay to help others. But sometimes we got to remember, sometimes certain people are in certain places because that's where God had them. And it's not meant for us to give some of the things that we have to them. So you got to pray about everything. I just want to add that part. But nonetheless, I just want to admonish you all to have faith in God, because there's going to be moments where tests and trials and things we go through, we may not understand. But even though you don't understand it, you got to remember that God is keeping you in the midst of all of it. And I'm going to get in the house because these bugs are trying to come attack me, right? And I don't like bugs like that. But yeah, you got to have faith. And you got to remember that God has created a line, a boundary for the enemy. You know, so even though you're going through these tests and trials, and it seems like chaos sometimes breaking out in your life or have broken out in your life, there's a boundary for the enemy. The same way God established that boundary for in Job's life for the enemy. He couldn't take Job's life. The enemy could not take Job's life. There was a boundary established for him. But God knew the character and the integrity of Job's heart. Just like God knows many of you, many of us. He knows already. But I just wanted to declare to someone today that you're coming out. You're coming out, and you're already out. So I just want you to be encouraged. And I'm going to go because I'm back at home. All right, talk to y'all later. Enjoy. Be blessed.